Ноги соедините, руки опустите. Ноги соедините, руки опустите.
So we can try to make it more specific. You have already mentioned markets like South America and Asia. So what have you seen that is truly a game changer in those markets? What are the best case practices, and how can they evolve the whole industry? We've seen.
I mean, of course, if you look at the rate again of innovation, most of the innovation has been coming, especially from the United States, in the past 5 years. I say this is an impression that all innovation is coming from there. Actually, there's a lot of innovation that you don't hear, especially since people tend to focus on consumer-oriented innovation. They don't look at network-based innovations for telcos or stuff that happens basically behind the scenes B2B for marketing, if you took. But so it used to be that for mobile, for a very long time, the US was actually lagging. Japan, especially where I also used to live, Japan was very forward for a long time. They're what we call smartphones. You could call them feature phones. It doesn't really matter the term, but they were much more advanced. When I moved there in 2008, I would be completely amazed by not only the speed of the broadband of the mobile internet, but also the fact that all these functionalities that we now consider normal were already there. But then something happened, and that's 2008 when the iPhone was released, and then suddenly everything's changed, and the whole rate of innovation became more US based. So when now you ask me, are there business models and case studies from Asia and other emerging markets? I would say the answer is twofold. For Asia, not that Asia is a single country. Asia is actually massive. But obviously, you must have heard about all these apps called WeChat, Line, Kakao Talk, which are, some people call it chat apps, some people call it mobile messaging, some people call it social networks. Actually, the definition is not really important. What is important is that it's a rise of players that are mobile first players. If you look at Facebook, for instance, if we talk about the social network, Facebook was born in the world of desktop computers. Even Twitter, though Twitter, the 160 characters was the 140 characters, was derived from the 160 characters of SMS, but even if the edge came from mobile, it was desktop players now moving again towards mobile. Whereas WeChat, Kakao Talk, Line are mobile first players, new players that are coming from Asia. And these players actually, what is actually amazing is actually they're making a lot of money. Line has maybe 300 million users, WeChat 270 million, 300. If you include China, that's 600 million users actually.
So you can compare the markets, their reach, the customers, how the numbers are truly different in those markets.
What is interesting with these networks is that they are a bit different. Of course, they started as messaging. That's probably for sure. But they're making actually a lot of money. For instance, I think Line makes $10 million US dollars a month just by selling stickers. I'm not saying that stickers are going to save the world, nor is it going to save all businesses, but it's to show that there are interesting
ways to monetize
business models. Gaming is another one. Of course, so WeChat just announced that they were rolling out their games internationally. They make a huge amount of money. Of course, WeChat, because it's Chinese, you always have to be careful. The numbers, when we read numbers about WeChat, and I'm sure you've read a lot of numbers in the past, you just look at techasia.com or the next web, they've been writing a lot. Of course, when you think that the market is so huge, of course, the numbers will be huge themselves. But an interesting thing is, for instance, there's a smartphone company called Xiaomi in China. So they forked a version of Android, and they sold their smartphone was called Mi3, I think, if my memory serves me well, exclusively through WeChat, and they sold 150,000 of these smartphones in under 10 minutes.
That's amazing if you think about it.
Sorry, come again?
That's amazing if you think about it, especially when you're talking about.
It's China. China, of course, the numbers will always be staggering. They'll always be impressive. But for Line, which is basically, that's also interesting. It's actually a Korean company that's very big in Japan. That's rolling out the rest of Asia, but has also inroads, made inroads in Spain, for instance. They do interesting stuff with promotional official accounts, so make these professional brands pay to have access to users. They do content merchandising. I mean, I was in Tokyo a few months ago and I could see line stuffed toys in stores. That was really funny. It's funny, but at the same time, they make more than $40 million in sales by selling these content merchandising. And they do a lot of course, they allow a lot of developers to make systems with a gaming SDK. They allow actually a lot of developers to make a lot of money as well. So the rise of these networks is important. It actually is not something that's completely foreign for us, because if you look at WhatsApp, which you probably have on your phone,
Of course,
WhatsApp
guilty.
is already actually sending more pictures daily than Instagram or Facebook. It's actually almost reaching the number of SMSs that are sent daily worldwide. I would say that maybe daily it's very hard to actually estimate that number, but let's put it at 20 billion SMSs are exchanged every day in the world. WhatsApp is already between 14 and 15 billion transacted messages. So you see it's actually catching up. Kakao Talk is probably at 8 billion. But even something like BlackBerry, the BBM, which now of course is dwindling down because BlackBerry is basically almost dead. But they only have 1 billion. I mean, what is that? The interesting thing with the Asian players that have figured out ways to monetize, now that all these ways will be working here in the rest of, non-Asian countries. Although you probably use Facebook Messenger, they've included now stickers as well. They're all free, but I think that they're thinking about it. WhatsApp has also introduced some stickers. There's other apps, so you can see that the innovation is not only one way, but going two ways. Basically, to make it simple, what is if you think about the movie industry, Hollywood used to make a lot of money in the US and they made some ancillary money outside of the US. Now, actually, blockbusters, major movies like I don't know Iron Man or these movies are making more money outside of just the US. Basically, that's the trend of globalization, and I think with innovation, it's the same thing. And I know I keep talking, but the other thing about emerging countries in general, what I like about emerging countries is that they were always had to figure out business models that had to deal with a lot of limitations, limited resources, limited amount of money, funding, for instance, users that were not spending as much, so the average revenue per user was lower than in developing countries, maybe sometimes limited access to talent, so all the government regulation, etc., etc. So they forced us to find, that's a general statement, business models are more sometimes more inventive than the one we think about in developing countries. And I think now, especially since the financial crisis, we kind of see these type of mentality being adopted as well in developing countries. So I think that there's a thing or two to learn from developing countries from emerging countries.